Hey guys, it's time for me to talk about the LeeCo Le Pro 3. This phone is intriguing. Now, I'll start this review off a little different. I'm going to talk about what I consider to be a negative, something that I've spoken of in other videos, and then I want to end on a positive note. So, let me give you some tech specs first before I do any of that. So you've got a 5.5 inch 1080p display. You've got 64 gigs on-board storage into the phone. No SD card, but I can deal with 64 gigs. And then you've got 4 gigs of RAM, and then you're running a 16 megapixel camera on the back with a 8 megapixel on the front. Now, this phone does shoot at 4K. There's no 60 frames per second on this phone, and that's kind of a downer for me, but I can deal with it. And then you have a 4070 milliamp hour battery. That is boss. Very, very good. And the highlight of this phone is it's running a Snapdragon 821. Yes, it's running a Snapdragon 821. You've got USB Type-C. You've got a dual speaker setup. There's a microphone here, speaker here, and then the other speaker comes out of the headset. On this side here, you've got the power button and the volume rocker and IR blaster and a noise cancellation microphone, and you got your SIM tray over here. And that rear mounted fingerprint reader is gorgeous. And there's no headphone jack, as you can see, and it has an adapter that you use when you want to use some headphones other than the ones that come in the box. The ones that come in the box utilize technology where and I'm actually running the Google launcher right now, if you're wondering. The technology that comes in the box, it's running. Let me see if I can get to the sound section and I can tell you the name of it. Shout out to Grant once again for pointing this out. CDLA. And you need CDLA headphones in order to hear the quality of the sound. This has Dolby audio as well. But when you plug in the factory headphones from this phone comes alive. I mean, it sounds really nice. So, that's some of the tech specs from it, but I'm jumping in now. So I'll start with sound since I'm on sound. You know what? Let me back up. I'm going to tell you the one thing I dislike about this phone. It's right here. Now, there's a reason I'm running the Google launcher, and I've been running the Pixel launcher, but I just switched to the Google launcher. There's a reason. This is their quick settings. There's no swipe down from the top. Swiping down from the top just gives notifications. So I've been using this for a while now, and I've gotten used to it. However, this is their setup. I mean, you've got all your quick settings right here, and you can edit them by clicking on that last icon right there. And this isn't it's a negative for me because I'm just not used to it. Now I've already completed my learning curve, and I don't even notice that it's there anymore. And but this took a while for me to get used to. But you do have your flashlight and editing let me click it right there. Screenshot. I couldn't get my my words out. You can take a screenshot with that one right there. You got your flashlight, calculator, camera, and this takes you to the remote, so you can control your TV or whatever your set top, whatever you're going to do. Now, this is about the only thing on this phone that's not a deal breaker, but it is a negative to me. This phone came in at $299. Let's take a look at the body. Full metal body. Now with that though, there's no wireless charging for that, if that's important to some people. And you also have these antenna lines that are not the most attractive, but they're there. And this is a gorgeous piece of hardware. I mean, I kid you not, this is a gorgeous piece of hardware. Truly amazing. So, with that being said, this phone comes in at $299 with all their promos. It's amazing. $299. That is just crazy and unheard of. And the only if this was running stock, this would be the kill-all phone right now. But it's not running stock. You have to put a launcher on there, and you're still stuck with this little thing here. It does have a capacitive button, so you get all of your screen. Some people focus on this black bar around here, saying that you doesn't get all the screen, but I don't even notice that after a while. I noticed it like once when I first got it, and then that was it. I was done with it. So the body on here is just ridiculous. The design of the phone is beautiful. Even their little logo isn't a bad thing. And I don't like logos on products sometimes, like especially carrier branding. But that little LeeCo branding right there, that's cool with me. It's nice. I like it. Very designer look. So cameras on this thing have been extremely impressive. I've been more than happy with the rear camera. Now, some people have said, oh, Jay, it's really not that good of a camera. I respect that. I think it's a good camera. I have realistic expectations on devices because I get so many of them. And I don't think any of them have gotten close to the camera on the S7 or the Note 7 or the S7 Edge. And this is another one of my drivers right here. But I gotta tell you, this phone has been very, very impressive. It's just that good. The screen on here is a 1080p IPS display. And when I tell you it's a good display, I tell you no lies. How do I say it? Wow. You know, it's not a flawless AMOLED display. And I say flawless AMOLED display because I prefer AMOLED displays. But it's a good display. 5.5 inches, 1080p, IPS, LCD display. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. And you know, some people might not like, some people will, this doesn't look like a 1080p. It's sometimes when you're looking at it, you can put it next to a Quad HD display and it looks great. But with that being said, the screen is very acceptable. It's more than up to today's standards. And what I'm noticing is a lot of quote-unquote flagship devices are coming with 1080p displays to save on battery. This phone right here, 4,070 milliamp hour battery, and the screen and the 821 processor, it still flows pretty good because that screen is not pushing a lot. Now, if you're a VR person, obviously that's not going to work too well for you. Let's chop it up on the speakers. Now, this is a speaker here in the earpiece, and then there's another one here. The sound quality on them is not loud. It's not the loudest. It's definitely not louder than the Axon 7. I demoed that in another video. I don't even think it's as loud as the iPhone 7 Plus or the iPhone 7. I mean, but it's still very, very loud. That's being very picky. It's still extremely loud. It's just not that loud to have Dolby and a dual setup. You know, hey, maybe some tweaking can be done. I know there's applications to be done, you know, that you can put in there to make it sound better. But, you know, I don't like to do that all the time. I like to use products as is. This will be the first phone that I took out of the box and immediately start and put a launcher on it. The first phone. I don't think I've ever done that. Like, I didn't even use their UI at all. If I switch back to their UI, all of my applications and things are just all over the place. They're not in any kind of order. You know how I am with my applications. I have them set exactly the same. This is their launcher. And this is it. You get this live button down here. And mind you, you can still use these, watch the TV and all that stuff. You just have to click on the services there, because I've done it, you know, with the phone. But let's talk about that real quick. You hit this live button and it takes you to their live services. So you see the live up there. You get 3 months free when you have the phone, 1 year free when you have TV. And it basically, you just get to stream TV. That's really all it is. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. That's what it is. You get their streaming services. And they want to try to sell you on that streaming service because they want you to buy it. And I've actually gone to their website and tried to, you know, talk about how, you know, how could I, what happens, you know, if I decide to change this. And they just tell you once your subscription runs out, you know, they're not going to just shut your access to your 5 terabytes off. And that's about where it stopped. They're going to let you continue to access the 5 terabytes of storage even after your subscription is over, but you can't add to it. So, but then there's no way to actually extend the services yet. They're still working on that, and that's just kind of strange, but it is what it is. So that's some of the features that come along with this phone. They have their live streaming services. You get 5 terabytes of storage free. 5 terabytes, guys. Some people's computers only have 1 terabyte. You get 5 terabytes of their cloud storage. It's great. Battery life is where I want to go next. Battery life on this thing, I'm averaging 6 hours of screen on time and at least 24 hours on every charge. I've heard other reviewers say, I don't know how these other reviewers talking about they got, and they weren't talking to me specifically. I was watching videos and I saw other reviewers saying that. And that's just strange to me. Like if I see a reviewer who says that they're getting something, I don't doubt what they're saying. All I could say is, show some screenshots. That's it. But to hear other reviewers say, don't believe that. People in the comments of videos always says, how do you do it? What's the trick? There is no trick. I just utilize the phone for what it is. I don't use battery saving modes on phones until I go to sleep, because I don't charge phones overnight. And some people say, well, why don't you charge it overnight? It's not going to hurt anything. That's just a personal preference. I choose not to charge a phone if it doesn't need to be charged. And I do that because I have multiple devices. So I can take my SIM card out of here if it's on the charger and I need to leave the house. I'll just pop it in another phone. It's just that simple. So that's where I'm at with that. Battery life on this phone, I've pulled down 8 hours of screen on time. Now that's not on every charge, but I've done it. And it's possible with this 4,000 milliamp hour battery with a 1080p display, but it's got that 821 processor. On the Moto Z Play, I pulled down 10 hours of screen on time. Now there is another variant of this that has a 600 series processor. Probably can do it on that one for sure, probably. But battery life is fantastic on here. Now this phone, as you heard me say, it does have a Snapdragon 821, which is the latest processor. The latest. This is boss. It's crazy. This is a fast processor, man. This is fast. And the phone is fast. Even though I don't like their UI, there's no hiccups with this phone. It's going to be honest. I may not be using the UI, but the UI is just, it's not even the UI. Let's be clear on something. It's not even the UI. It's just this right here. This is it. If this wasn't here and I could swipe down from the top and I had like the normal rotation, I don't care about not having an app tray. If that wasn't the recent key and all that stuff wasn't in there, this is like a top tier, high ranking phone to me. It already is, but I can't possibly give this phone a 10 based on that alone, man. And the cameras are good, but they're not spectacular. They're better than a lot of other phones I have. But right now, this phone is like the 8.5 category in my book. Because of that, the way they have that set up in that part of their UI, I could deal with not having an app tray. It's just like the Huawei or the Xiaomi. Those all don't have app trays. It's just that they deviated from what Android had already set in place, which was good. So other than that, man, the performance is great. I don't have any problems with this phone. I'm really enjoying it, and I think it's a fantastic purchase. They've been having fire sales since launch where you get $100 off of their phones. Now again, I did say they have another variant that's only $150. What's the difference? Well, you don't get the 821, you get a 600 series. You don't get 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs on board. You get 32 gigs and 3 gigs. That's still great. Look at how well the Z Max performs with a 617. That phone has the 625, I believe, and I don't have to look it up, but it doesn't have a 617, and it has more RAM than this phone, and this phone performs fantastic. You see, so I think if you're not into like, oh, I want the latest powerhouse, I would even recommend that you drop down and get that one. It's called the Le Pro S3. Peak on that is $250. Peak on this is $400. Peak price, that is. So I would recommend that you even get that one. $150 is a steal for this same body, aluminum frame and everything. It's just fantastic. And right now they're only selling the gold in this Pro version, and the silver one of this is coming soon. I hate when companies do that. I dislike when companies do that. And then the other version It actually has both colors, and the rose gold is coming soon. So you could buy the silver version of this or the gold, and the rose gold is coming soon in the other color. So hey, all I can tell you guys, this is a fantastic purchase. I would highly recommend it at this point. Black Friday is coming at the well, we're in November, so Black Friday is here, and there's tons of sales that are popping up. We're in November 2016 is recording this video, so even past this, if you're watching this into 2017, if you're watching this at the end of 2017, whatever, I'm pretty sure the price on this has gone down by now. By that time, this phone is a steal. The fastest processing package that you could possibly get. Now, it doesn't have 6 gigs of RAM, but you don't need that. You don't need 6 gigs of RAM. I've had other phones that outperform the OnePlus 3 in benchmarks and things like that, and it didn't have 6 gigs of RAM. So search online, you can see lots of people posting that video and those types of videos, but benchmarks only mean so much. And if that is important to you, this phone benchmarked at 160,000 peak for me. 158 was a consistent thing. 158,000 on the benchmarks, you know. So this is a performance. It's got a Snapdragon 821 in it. So that's my take on this phone. I hope you guys enjoy. Hit lemall.com, LE and then mall.com to pick up this phone if you want to get it. This is a fantastic purchase, and I'm glad I could share my thoughts on it with you. So it's your man Jay Will. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.